Hi everyone, this is Juilliard from the Mr. Sisters, and today I'm going to teach you how to go from this tired old thing to this. First thing, you want to make sure that you prime your face. Provides a little bit of moisture and also gives a nice even layer for you to set your foundations on. All right, now when you're doing your foundation, you wanna make sure that if your ears are gonna be showing past your wig, that you get a little bit on your ears just so they don't look like a different color. And then this is a pet peeve of mine, but when I see queens who don't bring their foundation down onto their neck and your face looks like a completely different color, it's just not a cute look, sis. So get that foundation, drag it down your neck, and then at least the upper half of your body will all look like one uniform color. All right, so when I do my contour, I always start kind of from my smile line on my cheek here, about where the corner of your lip would be. And I take that and I'm gonna draw kind of a curved line up here, just to about the point where my eyebrow would be, so. Like so. And then we're going to take that same color, start at the same spot, and then we're gonna draw a straight line kind of to the middle point of your ear. Like that. And so then once you've done that, you're gonna go in and you're gonna fill that out and you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now that we've got our cheeks carved out, we're gonna go in and we are going to go along the jawline. And then you're gonna wanna make sure that once you draw that line, that you bring that contour down onto the neck a little bit. The last step in contouring is to go in and kind of try to minimize some of that forehead. We want to make sure that we start the outline of our nose. So I like a super pinched nose. So basically I start kind of from my natural width of my nose up here at the top, and I bring it down to a tiny little point at the end of my nose. All right, so now that we've laid down our contour, neck, cheeks, forehead, nose, I like to go in and I like to start to blend that out already. So again, paint my numbers queen. So I go in and I trace out the shape, and then I will go in and fill it in. So the first shape that I kind of do is like a little triangle shape here on my, on the risen part of my cheekbones. So I go along, I go from the corner of my eye here, from the tear duct, and I go along the side of my nose and down. And then I take that along my lower lash line, and I bring it all the way back to the hairline. It's gonna get blended out. It's not gonna look that harsh, but for me, it's the predefined shape. I work well within confines. So then I'm gonna go and I'm going to fill that out pretty much up until the point of my contour. All right, so I've got the highlighter on my cheeks. Now, one thing I like to do just to make this line on my cheek a little bit more severe, I will go underneath it with some of this concealer, or any lighter color really. If you're using a clown white, I prefer a lighter colored concealer. And I just draw a line along the bottom here. And it creates a really nice contrast between this lighter section down here and the darker section up here. And again, I'm gonna go and blend all of this out. So not totally worried about the final product at the moment. All right, so I've got the cheeks re-carved out. And then I like to go and I like to fill in this lighter part of my nose. The last step of the highlighting is the forehead. So we've gone in and we've put all of this lighter colored concealer on there, and then the next step, just like with a contour, is to go back and blend. All right, so you see that kind of creates a nice ombre effect here. So we've got some parts that are nice and blended out. We've got some parts that are a little bit more severe. For me, it's all about creating that juxtaposition with my face. So I'm gonna go in and I like to draw a nice angled high bitch brow. So I start actually from the point where my natural brow would start, and I do a pretty steep angle up here, and then I draw from there straight over almost to the hairline. So we've got the outline here, and then I'm gonna go in and I'm going to fill that all in. And then you wanna leave a little bit of space at the front here so that you can kind of blend out and do a nice ombre effect. All right, so we filled this eyebrow in. You can see I've left a little bit of space at the front here. We're gonna go out and blend that a little bit later. But for now, I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Then what I like to do is I like to go in and I'll clean up the lines with a little bit of concealer. Again, this is the step that's allows you to cover any mistakes that you might have made. But again, similarly with the cheek, I like to create that contrast between light and dark. And so it kind of serves a dual purpose. So I'm gonna go along the bottom line that I drew for the brows. And then bring it over like so. And then I go in and I kind of fill out that entire brow bone area. All right, so we've gone in, we've cleaned up our brows, we've highlighted the brow bone here. Now comes the tedious part, and that is blending out this little part in the front here. So I like to put a little more concealer kind of in that blank space there on both sides. And then we are going to take that very same brush, wipe off any excess cream that you might have on there. A little bit is okay because it actually helps to kind of blend the two colors, but we don't want to go in there with a ton of darker product. So we're going to take this small brush here and we're basically going to try to drag this darker eyebrow color over the lighter concealer color. And then one last step, just so we don't look like we have a big honkin' unibrow, is to go with that concealer beauty blender that we used, or the lighter colored beauty blender. And we're just gonna go right between the two brows. And that's gonna kind of soften the edges a bit and create a little bit more blank space between the two brows. All right, so I go in once I've laid all of this creamy goodness onto my face. Again, the golden rule for drag queens, set everything liquid or cream with a powder. So I have this big ass thing of translucent setting powder. I use translucent because I don't like to add any additional color on here. I've already kind of put the color on my face for the moment. So I take a big kabuki style brush, I load it up with some powder, and I apply it liberally all over my face. All right, so now that we've got our powder all over our face and we look like a crazy person, that part's not gonna change. We're gonna go in and we are going to work on our eyes. So similarly with the other parts of my makeup, I really like to kind of draw an outline and then go from there. My eyes are no different. So I'm going for kind of a nudie color today. So I'm gonna go in with kind of a neutral-ish brown shade. And I am basically taking this and I'm gonna draw a straight line that follows parallel to my eyebrow here. And I'm gonna start pretty much where my normal eyebrow is, and then we're gonna put shadow above that to kind of match this big old bitch brow that we created. All right, so now that we've gone in and we've drawn those guidelines for the eye makeup, I'm gonna go in with that same shade. And so when I drew the line, I went in with kind of a nice flat thin brush. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of a bristly one, and I'm gonna use that same shade, and I'm just going to apply that right above the line. And then I go back in with that same flat, thin brush, and I go in with a little bit darker of a color, and that's just gonna help me to define the eye a little bit more and create a little bit more contrast and dimension. So then I'm gonna use that same brush, and this time I'm gonna kind of start a little bit above that line, and we're gonna pull the color down just a tad. we're gonna go back in, we're gonna add one more darker color with that same flat, thin brush, and we're gonna apply it along that lower line. Then we're gonna take our smaller bristly brush that we used to apply that lightest shade. We're gonna pick up some of that light shade again, and we're just gonna do a once over on all of this. So I'm gonna go in with a white, a matte white eyeshadow, and I'm going to apply that in that blank space there. Then we're gonna go back in with that same bristly brush that we laid down our first brown color with, and we are going to do some nice circular motions to blend that brown color up into the white. All right, so now we are going to put in our winged liner, which is just a tad too large, but we don't care. So what I like to do is I start from the corner of my eye here, and I basically draw a straight line that goes up and kind of meets the end of this shadow line that we've created here. Like that. And then I go from about the middle of my eye, kind of where my eyelid creases, and I draw a straight line from there up to meet this point at the top there. And then I go along and I will follow my, my eyelid crease here. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Now that we've got the outline done, we're gonna go in and we're gonna fill these in with a fluid cream black, black color. Now that we've done the dark part, like most of the other parts of my face, we're gonna go in and we're gonna contrast it with something light. All right, so you'll notice I filled in both of the blank spaces on my eyes with that, that white concealer. And I also went ahead and I brought it down and around under my eye as well. Now what I wanna do, since I already went under my eyes with the white, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bring this liner down into our under eye. And you'll notice I don't draw a straight line across. I always want my eyes to have some sort of lift. And so everything that I do has an angle upward. My brows, my eyeliner, all of it. So I like to bridge this part, this big wing liner that I'd done up here. And I like to create kind of like a little falcon point here. It makes me look like a bitch. I love it. But you kind of get what we're going for. So we've got this nice lifted angle going on this side, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. Now that we've put all of this makeup under our eyes, we are going to add a little bit more makeup under our eyes. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the same 3 shades that I put up here, and I'm going to apply them underneath my eye as well. So you'll notice most of the powder that I put all over my face has been absorbed or has fallen off. So at this point, we're just gonna kind of brush off the remainder of that. So, all of the areas that I put different colored foundations on, we're gonna go and we're gonna accentuate them with a powder. So I like to use a super white powder. And I just go in with kind of a smaller, little flatter brush, and I just pick up some of that white powder, and I put this under my eyes and bring it up into the hairline, again, to create that nice natural looking lift. And we do the exact same thing on the other side. We're gonna bring it down and around over our mustache. And then we're also gonna apply some right into that glow zone on the forehead. Now, for under the cheeks, I like to take this powder as well, and I'll take just a little powder puff, and I fold it in half so I can get this nice flat angle here. And I take that and just draw a line under our contour here. While we're letting this white powder sit on our face, we are going to bejewel ourselves a bit. So I like to stick 2 big honkin' jewels in the corners here where I did not bridge the eyeliner. Then I like to add 3 little jewels up here along my eyebrow line. All right, so we've got some jewels on our eyes. I like to go in and I like to put a little bit of glitter on the white parts above my eyes. I use a super fine glitter, and I just take a small little brush, dab it on there. All right, so now that we've taken care of glitter on our eyes and this white powder has sat long enough to sink in, we are going to dust the excess away. Then, because we did a light powder, we're gonna wanna go in with a slightly darker powder and just accentuate those contours. So I take kind of a bristled, angled brush, and with any dark powders, I always start from the outside and bring it in. If you start here and it's too dark, sorry, it's a little bit hard to blend out. And then I also like to do kind of the corners of my forehead. Again, something that is considered feminine is a small forehead, I guess. I don't know who decided that, but it's a thing. And then I like to take this and just go along my chin as well. All right, so now that we've done that, we are gonna go in and we are going to add some of our nice frosty highlighter to our cheeks. I use my finger. Don't ask me why, it's just what I do. Bring it down. I like to bring it down kind of into the apples of my cheek here, just because I have pretty pronounced smile lines. Helps me create like a nice rounded cheek. All right. And then while I'm on my highlighter, I like to take a tiny little round brush, gather some powder on there, and I like to do a little rounded point to the end of my nose. Just kind of helps to give a central focal point for everything, and it makes your nose look nice and small and pinched. Then, after we've done that, I'm gonna go in and I'm going to lay some blush over top of my highlighted areas. All right, so we are going to line our lips. I know some queens like to put on their lipstick first. Again, I like to draw borders and then I like to stay within it. You can always go and blend it out later. So for my lower lip, I've got an ample lower lip, so I don't overdraw this a ton. Just gonna go along the bottom there. And we want a relatively nice, clean, and crisp line. If it helps to kind of purse your lips a little bit, do it. And now, so for my upper ones, I definitely overdraw these. I choose not to do the kind of like Cupid's bow or whatever it's called in the middle. I like to draw just a nice oval shape. So I start from my natural corner of my lip. And I draw it up and over, and I kind of just roll it along, bridge the two, and then go back and clean up the line. And then we go in and we fill in the lines with our lipstick. I like to go in and I like to blend this out a little bit. So I'll just grab a little angled brush, kind of swipe along where the two colors meet, blend it inward. All right, finishing touches. So I'm a girl who loves a big old chunky glitter to really highlight my cheeks. So I just go kind of in the similar area that I highlighted. We are going to take some of our dark lash glue and we are going to apply that to our lashes. Glue, it's fine. I know some queens will use like their wig glue or spirit gum or something like that. I like this to match my eyeliner as much as possible. So I just go for something dark. All right, so lower lashes, I use 3 separate pieces of paper, basically, cut out into little triangle shapes. And what I like to do is I like to alternate between a little eyelash, a jewel, eyelash, jewel, eyelash, jewel. All right, now we get to the final but most important part. After you've put all this hard work into your face, you've got to seal that shit. And if it burns, that just means it's working because you have a freshly shaven face and it's an alcohol solution. So now we're gonna get into the final Julie look. All right, here she is, the finished product. If you liked this video, make sure to click subscribe below. If you didn't like this video, well, that's okay. You can just never come back and I will not be heard about it. Be sure to check out my other sisters' videos, Miss Lexi Tucker-Dixon and Miss Virgo Fatale. Completely different styles than mine. And I think it would just be great educational material for you children. So be sure to check them out, check out our other videos, and keep an eye on this channel because we are going to be posting a lot more. See you later.